You were fine. Or at least you thought you were fine. You were sitting quietly. Not doing anything in particular. Not thinking about anything specific. Just existing in an ordinary moment of an ordinary day. And then your dog got up, walked across the room, and sat down right beside you. Or pressed against you. Or put their head in your lap. Without being called. Without any obvious reason. Just came to you. And then, minutes later, sometimes seconds later, something broke. The thing you didn't know you were holding suddenly let go. And you cried. Your dog was already there. They were there before you knew you needed them. Before the first tear. Before the first crack in your voice. Before you even understood what was happening inside you. And you probably thought it was a coincidence. Or that your dog was just being affectionate. Or that the timing was lucky. It was not a coincidence. It was not luck. What your dog did in that moment is one of the most scientifically remarkable things any animal can do, and the reason behind it goes deeper than most owners ever realize. Stay until the end. Because the last thing I'm going to tell you about what your dog senses before you cry is the one that will change how you understand every quiet moment you have ever shared with them. Here is what almost no one knows about the physiology of human crying, and it is the key to understanding everything your dog does before your first tear falls. Crying does not begin in your eyes. It begins in your body, minutes before any visible sign appears. When your emotional state shifts toward overwhelm, when something that has been held begins to release, your body undergoes a cascade of measurable physiological changes that happen completely below the threshold of conscious awareness. Your cortisol levels shift. The specific chemical compounds your body releases under emotional stress change in composition and concentration. Your breathing becomes subtly shallower. Your heart rate changes. The scent of your skin changes. And this is the one that matters most to your dog, because the sweat glands activated by emotional stress produce a chemically distinct profile from the sweat produced by physical exertion or heat. Your body, before you cry, smells different from your body at baseline. Different in ways that are completely imperceptible to other humans. But your dog has approximately 300 million olfactory receptors compared to your 6 million. They are not smelling the world at a higher resolution of the same image you see. They are experiencing a completely different sensory reality, one in which the chemical story of your emotional state is as clear and legible as the expression on your face is to another human. Your dog does not predict that you are about to cry. They detect that your body has already begun the process, before your conscious mind has caught up with what is happening inside you. They smell the ending of your composure before you feel it. Has your dog ever come to you before you cried, before you even knew it was coming? Comment below and tell me the story. I read every single one, and these moments matter more than you know. Beyond their extraordinary sense of smell, your dog is reading your face with a precision that science has only recently begun to fully document. Research published in scientific journals studying canine facial recognition has found that dogs have developed a specific neural adaptation, unique among non-human animals, for reading human emotional expressions. They pay disproportionate attention to the left side of the human face, which is controlled by the right hemisphere of the brain and most reliably reflects genuine emotional states rather than performed ones. They have learned, over thousands of years of living alongside humans, to read the specific muscle movements that precede emotional expression. Not the expression itself, but the micro-movements that happen in the seconds before it becomes visible. The muscles around your eyes begin to change before you cry. The orbicularis oculi, the muscle that controls the squinting motion associated with crying, begins activating before the tear ducts respond. Your mouth corners change. The tension in your forehead shifts. These are changes that happen in fractions of a second and that other humans miss entirely because we are not calibrated to read at that resolution. Your dog is calibrated to read exactly that. They have been calibrated by thousands of years of evolution specifically to detect emotional shifts in the humans they live with, because a dog who could accurately read their human's emotional state was a dog who could anticipate needs, respond appropriately, and deepen the bond that kept both of them safer and more connected. Your dog sees your face in slow motion, and they have already read the ending before you have finished the first page. Here is where most people assume the wrong thing, and it is worth correcting because the truth is more remarkable than the assumption. Most owners assume their dog comes to them when they cry because the dog is responding to the sound of crying, to the visible distress, to something they can see and hear and react to in the moment. But your dog is not responding to your crying. They are responding to what comes before it. They come to you in the silence before the storm, in the moment when you are still composed, when the room is still quiet, when nothing visible has changed. They come because their extraordinary sensory system has already detected what is coming and has made a decision before you made one yourself. And the decision they make, to cross the room, to press against you, to put their head in your lap, is not an automatic reflex. Research into canine empathic behavior has found that dogs show what behaviorists call empathic concern, a motivation to approach and provide comfort to a distressed individual that is not driven by self-interest or trained response but by something that functions remarkably like genuine compassion. Your dog comes to you because they detected your distress and they decided to do something about it, not because they were trained to, not because there is a reward attached to it, because something in them moves toward your pain the way water moves toward the lowest point, naturally, inevitably, without needing a reason. They come because you are in pain. And that is enough. If your dog has ever been there before you needed them, hit like right now. This video is for every owner who has ever felt that and wondered how it was possible. Now you know. In 2018, a study conducted at the University of London tested whether dogs would approach and attempt to comfort people who were crying versus people who were humming, a control condition that matched the acoustic properties of crying without the emotional content. Dogs approached crying strangers significantly more often than humming strangers. And they approached in a specific way, low, slow, submissive, that behavioral scientists identify as comfort offering rather than curiosity seeking. The dogs were not approaching because they were curious about the sound. They were approaching because they recognized distress and responded to it with behavior specifically designed to offer comfort. To strangers. With no prior relationship, no training, no reward. This is empathic concern. And it is one of the most remarkable cognitive and emotional capacities documented in non-human animals. Your dog does not just detect your emotional state. They care about it. The detection and the caring are both real, both measurable, both documented in peer-reviewed research. When your dog comes to you before you cry, they are not performing a behavior. They are expressing something that functions, in every meaningful way, like love responding to pain. The science does not diminish this. Confirms it. Everything you felt in those moments, that your dog knew, that your dog came, that your dog stayed, was real. The science just tells you why. What your dog does during and after your crying is as remarkable as what they do before it, and understanding it changes how you receive their presence in those moments. During the crying itself, most dogs do one of two things, or both. They stay still and pressed against you, offering their warmth and weight as a physical anchor. Or they gently make contact with your face, licking tears, pressing their nose to your cheek, nudging your chin upward with theirs. Both behaviors are documented comfort-offering responses. Neither is random. The licking of tears is particularly interesting. Human tears contain a specific chemical profile, including stress hormones and proteins, that dogs can detect and that may reinforce their comfort-offering behavior by confirming that the distress is real and present. Your dog is not just being affectionate when they lick your tears. They are reading you, still reading you, right through the crying itself. And then there is the staying. After the crying ends, after the acute distress has passed, most bonded dogs do not simply return to what they were doing before. They stay, pressed against you, present and still, for minutes sometimes, for however long it takes for the quality of your silence to shift from aftermath to peace. They know the difference. They can smell the difference. As your cortisol drops and your body chemistry returns toward baseline, the scent of your distress fades. They monitor that fading. They stay until it is gone. Until they are certain the storm has passed and not merely paused. They came before you needed them. They stayed until after you were okay. They covered the whole of it, the before, the during, and the after, without being asked, without being thanked, without needing either. Here is what the science is telling you, underneath all the research and the cortisol measurements and the olfactory receptor counts. Your dog has built a model of you that is more complete than any model any human has of you. They know your baseline, what you smell like, sound like, move like when you are okay. They know your deviations, every shift from that baseline that means something has changed. They have been building this model since the first day you were together, updating it continuously, refining it with every shared hour. They know when you are about to cry because they know you. Not in the abstract way that people say they know each other. In the most literal, physiological, moment-to-moment way possible. They know your body the way a musician knows their instrument. Every note, every resonance, every signal that something is about to change. And they use that knowledge every time to be where you need them before you know you need them. Not because they were trained. Not because there is a reward. Because you are their person. And being there for their person, completely, precisely, without hesitation, is simply what they do. You thought you had a dog. What you have is someone who has memorized every version of you and comes running for the version that needs them most. Has your dog ever been there before you cried, before you even knew it was coming? Tell me your story in the comments. These moments deserve to be remembered and shared. I read every single one. Your dog knew you were about to cry before you did. They smelled it in the shift of your chemistry. They read it in the movement of muscles you did not know were moving. They felt it in the change of the air around you before any tear had formed behind your eyes. And they came. Without being called. Without hesitation. Without needing to understand why, because understanding why was never the point. Being there was the point, and they were there. They have always been there. For every cry you saw coming and every one you didn't. For every moment you held it together until you couldn't. For every time the room got quiet in the wrong way and something in you finally let go. Your dog was already there. They're always already there. Because that is what it means to be known by someone who loves you without language, without condition, without anything asked in return. They knew. They came. They stayed. That was never small. It was everything. If this changed how you see every quiet moment your dog has ever chosen to be beside you, subscribe to The Dog Mind. Every week we decode the science behind what your dog has been doing all along. Your dog has always known you better than you knew. Subscribe and we will help you finally understand them the same way.